Hey everyone. I, 28, female, have been married to my husband, 32, male, for the past year. We've been dating since I was 19. My husband and I met via my sister-in-law, 28, female, who has been my classmate since my university years. We met during our first semester and we became really good friends. Owing to our friendship, we hung out often and she welcomed me to her place for Thanksgiving when I did not have anywhere to go. That was when I met her brother, and from there, our relationship blossomed. When I started dating my husband, sister-in-law was super excited about it. In her eyes, it would be perfect to have her best friend as her family. I was happy to have her support, and honestly, her support has pulled my relationship through some incredibly tough times. But the thing is, everything started changing soon after we got engaged. As soon as I got engaged to my husband, my sister-in-law started making sure I knew what was expected of me as I am joining her family. She wanted me to respect her opinions as she is my sister-in-law, and I should start treating her as such. She was no longer the friend I had known for so long. Suddenly, she was this sister-in-law who wanted nothing to do with me unless it served her. As we were co-workers, sister-in-law and I spent a copious amount of time together, and her personality in the workplace changed as well. She started saying that now that I am soon to be wedded, it would be better to give her the job opportunities instead of giving me those because I will not be able to handle the pressure. As my wedding was pretty far away, I did not give in to it. I appreciated the gesture and told her that while I am thankful to have someone looking out for me the way she is, there is no need for her to take on my work responsibility. I will manage. The only reason I said all of that was because as days went by, I felt like my sister-in-law was encroaching on my boundaries. As the wedding date came close, her demands of being given my share of the work increased. I did not mind that because I genuinely thought that she was just being helpful. But things started seeming strange after the marriage. Since I returned from the honeymoon, I joined work as one does, and my sister-in-law was not happy with me for doing that. In her eyes, I am not fulfilling my wifely duties by working outside the house. It was jarring seeing my work bestie flip a switch the moment she saw I was still coming to work after marriage. She kept making snide remarks about how I shouldn't be here, how I should be at home making sure her brother is well taken care of. I would like to make it clear that my husband has no issues with me working. We split the bills and chores around the house, and that requires me to have a source of income. While it is true that my husband earns a decent amount of money, with the type of lifestyle we lead, it would be better if both of us were earning. That way, we would be able to maintain our lifestyle while also saving the necessary money for the sake of our future. Furthermore, I have never seen myself as a stay-at-home wife. I always saw myself as one of the providers and I had no plan of quitting. Sister-in-law, for some reason, assumed that the plan would be for me to quit working once I get married and be stuck at home taking care of chores. I tried my best to brush her comments off because at first it was only directed at me when we were alone together or in a closed space. But things were no longer like that when we were being considered for a promotion. Suddenly, sister-in-law decided it would be better to rally against me. She made snide remarks about me openly. She said things about how vapid I am for working even though I'm married. She said that I'm working because I want to check out other men. I heard her saying those things over lunch to our co-workers, mentioning that if she had known I am this trampy, she would have never let me get closer to her brother. Co-workers turned to look at me, and I have never felt more embarrassed. I felt like my image was in shambles, and the behavior legit felt like workplace harassment. I tried to talk to her, family to family, and tell them how her words hurt me and I would like it if she did not behave this way. But that did not stop her. It simply made her worse. She started saying things like, I'm scared I'll get caught, which is why I'm trying to silence her. But this behavior of hers only stayed at work and not when we had family gatherings. As my husband has never seen her behave that way, explicitly he refused to believe that she would ever say things like that about me. When I asked him to talk to her about it, and he did, she flat out refused. She made me sound like a liar, and it was not a good feeling. After 4 weeks of this, I got the promotion, and she was pissed. She was fuming. Honestly, having the management pick me over her made me feel like justice was finally served. Soon after the promotion was confirmed, my husband suggested we throw a family dinner to celebrate. I did not want to because I knew my husband would want to ask sister-in-law to join, and it would have been cruel to her, but he didn't listen. He invited everyone for Easter dinner, and while eating, he mentioned my promotion. All hell broke loose after that. Sister-in-law went off on me, saying I am a little bitch for inviting her after stealing what is rightfully hers. She said that it was unfair that she wasn't given the promotion even though she has been in the company longer. I bit my tongue, trying not to escalate the situation, but my sister-in-law was not looking to stop. She kept pushing me, expecting an answer from me. I was doing all right until she implied I slept with the boss to get the promotion, and at that point, I couldn't take it. I told her that she needs to leave because she is ruining the family moment. She looked to my husband for support, but I told her that she was not welcome anymore and did not let my husband say anything. The dinner was cut short, and once everyone had left, I asked my husband if he believed me now or not. He did not answer my question and instead started asking me if I had truly slept with my boss. Hearing his misplaced priorities kind of made me realize how hopeless my entire relationship was. I told him that these are all lies and I am not cheating on him, but he could not believe me in the slightest. The next day when I went to work, I found my sister-in-law trying to play the victim, painting me as a liar who stole the promotion by sleeping with the boss, and now that she has told my husband about this, I was beyond angry. Hearing all of this, I went and asked my coworkers if they would be willing to give their statements against my sister-in-law spreading rumors about me. Luckily, I managed to get 8 people who agreed. With those written statements, I complained to HR. I explained the whole situation and presented them with the statements from the witnesses. Each witness was called in for a meeting for about roughly 15 minutes, and after that, sister-in-law was called to the office. When she came out of the meeting, she was crying. She packed up all of her things and left the building. The moment I came home, I found my husband super mad at me. He called me vindictive because sister-in-law told him that as she caught me cheating, I got her fired. I feel so overwhelmed with how my husband is treating me. I do not know what I'm supposed to do. Any advice would be highly appreciated. Update 1. Hey everyone. Sorry it took a while to update you guys. My husband has kicked me out of the house. I have moved in with my parents and I'm currently in their basement. I feel like whatever you guys have been saying is quite true. Sister-in-law thought she would simply get me out of her way by doing all this. It is such an absurd idea, but it seems like the only one that makes sense. My husband has said that he will take me back if I apologize to my sister-in-law, but I do not want to. I do not think I should. Update 2. I heard what you guys are saying, and I think the relationship is indeed dead. Whenever he had the chance of taking care of me or standing up for me, my husband did not. I too am a part of his family as his wife, but he always told me that he should stand by his family, that is, his sister, implying that I am not his family. There is no reason for me to stay in this relationship any further, and that is why I have signed the divorce papers and have sent it to him. I do not want this relationship. Update 3. Hi everyone. Sorry, this update is a little late. I have moved into a new apartment closer to my office and I have been in the process of settling in. The divorce went through, and I'm no longer in touch with that family. I still work for the same company, but in a different office. I feel like after everything was said and done, there were too many bad memories in that particular branch. I've been trying to figure out how to feel better about my marital status, as being divorced on the cusp of 29 was not my plan. But oh well, it is what it is. What can I say? When I sent in the papers, my now ex-husband decided to call me and express his disappointment. In his eyes, by sending the papers, I am sealing in his doubts about my loyalty. I knew he wanted to engage in an argument, but I did not want to anymore, and so I did not. I let it go. I asked him to sign the papers. I'm happy to be out of this wedlock. Hey, OP, NTA for getting your sister-in-law sacked. She was making the workplace extremely hostile for a while. Behaving like middle school students is not appreciated in work areas, and I do not know why no steps were taken against her prior. Good on you for standing up against her. Secondly, you should throw the whole husband away. He sounds like a terrible man. He does not care for you. As far as the sister-in-law is considered, she plays stupid games and wins stupid prizes. As far as the husband is considered, that relationship sounds pretty dead to me. You deserve better, OP. Please find someone better to be with. Next story. My boyfriend left home on his 18th birthday after a big fight with his dad. He tried to reach out after that, but his dad completely ignored him and wanted nothing to do with him. My boyfriend was really depressed about it, but he eventually got over it. I remember one night we all got drunk. We're apartment sharing with friends, and he told us that he was dead to his father, and that stuck with me. Yesterday he just showed up. My boyfriend's dad, that is. Myself and one of our roommates were the only people home. I answered the door, but I didn't let him in. He said he wanted to talk to his son, and I said, "Oh, your dead son?" He must not have remembered or understood the reference, because he went completely pale and asked when he died. He looked almost as upset as my boyfriend had been, so I decided to let him stew in it. I told him a fake story. He looked like he was going to throw up, and he asked if he could come in and have some water. I reluctantly let him, because he seemed very ill. Once inside, my roommate saw us and asked what was going on. My boyfriend's dad asked if he knew his son, and my roommate was super confused, and it quickly came out that my boyfriend wasn't actually dead. My boyfriend's dad was furious. He said I was a sick person with a hateful heart. I told him he said his son was dead to him, so why would he even care? He said he made a mistake in a moment of anger, but I made a cold-blooded decision. My roommate also said that what I did was messed up. I went to our room and called my boyfriend, who said to make sure his dad left before he came home, which I did. And he did, reluctantly. I didn't tell my boyfriend about the dead thing, just that he showed up and seemed to regret things. My boyfriend is shocked by his dad just showing up, and I don't want to pile more on. My roommate said I was a huge asshole because no one deserves that, but I'm not sure. He did look so sick, but part of me thinks he brought it all up himself. I don't know. Edit. One of you made a compelling case to tell my boyfriend as soon as possible about telling his dad he was dead. He wanted to know what his dad's reaction was and kept asking if he said anything other than asking for more information before he found out it was a lie. He only really asked questions like when, how, was it sudden, and such, and my boyfriend was pretty disappointed by that. He's pretty depressed this morning. YTA. No matter what your boyfriend said to you in a moment of drunken anger, that doesn't mean you involve yourself in his relationship with his dad. You purposely made up a wild story about his child being dead. You didn't tell your boyfriend about it because you knew it makes you sound completely psychotic. Regardless of what happens between your boyfriend and his dad, I suggest you get therapy. ESH, sure, but YTA? Not your place. You could have just said you don't know him or he doesn't live there, and then tell your boyfriend so he could manage the situation as he saw fit. Also, you clearly aren't prepared or capable of adequately supporting the fallout. Your boyfriend is now depressed because he has to rely on your retelling of his dad's reaction. His dad's reaction wasn't lacking. The man was in shock, but your boyfriend is going to go over every detail of your retelling, and I frankly don't believe that you'll be all that accurate. Note how you first explain a detailed account that shows his dad was shocked and dismayed. Then, at the end of your post, when you're telling your boyfriend, you downgrade it to, he really only asked X questions. Are valid and correct questions to ask. Even if your boyfriend doesn't have an issue with what you did, you overstepped. It was never your place. Next story. I, 30, male, have a 9-year-old son with my ex-girlfriend, 29, female. We split 6 years ago but share custody, 1 week on, 1 week off arrangement. I have been in a relationship with my current girlfriend, 27, female, for 4 years. She's incredible and gets along with my son amazingly. Last year, my son suddenly gained an obsession with skateboarding. He would talk nonstop about it and keep asking if he could get a skateboard. My ex and I discussed and mutually decided against letting him skateboard because he's still very young, and obviously there is always a risk of injury. My son was very upset when we said no, but he eventually got over it. Yesterday afternoon, I left the house for an hour to run some errands, and while I was out, I got a call from my girlfriend telling me that she had to take my son to the emergency department and to meet her there. He had a dislocated shoulder. I was confused, had no idea what was happening. I immediately drove to the hospital. I asked her how did it happen, and she admitted that she bought him a skateboard 3 months ago, and he had a nasty fall while riding it at the skate park she had taken him to while I was out. I was angry, but I didn't want to start an argument in the middle of the hospital, so I gave her the silent treatment until we got back home. I rang up my ex straight away to tell her what happened, and I got an earful from her. My girlfriend apologized to my ex when she arrived at the hospital, but she wasn't having any of it. So basically, my girlfriend made my son promise her not to say anything about the skateboard to me or his mother. And they've been hiding the skateboard from me for months. I asked my girlfriend why the heck did she think that would be okay, and she simply said she just wanted to make my son happy. And she argued that she never let him skate alone, she was always with him. Apparently, she would take him to the skate park whenever I was out of the house, which wasn't often, but I don't want him at the skate park ever. I called her a frickin' idiot. That it's her fault that my son got injured. She said I was being a dick and that she didn't mean for it to happen. She was just trying to do something nice. Now we're barely talking to each other. AITA or what? ESH, for crying out loud, it's a skateboard. Your kid should be able to have a skateboard like every other normal kid out there. Being overprotective this way never served anyone well. Sometimes injuries come with it, yeah. But obviously that never stopped Tony Hawk. You can't wrap him up in bubble wrap his whole life. Yes, your girlfriend should not have gone behind your back and bought him one. She also was way wrong to ask your son to lie to you about it. That's a huge no-no. Besides all that, you should never call names like that. How childish. NTA. Wow. In your ex's shoes, I would be so angry right now. I would be seriously contemplating going to court to make sure your girlfriend was never again allowed access to your child without you physically present during your custody week. What are you doing to make sure your child is safe around this woman? If you're still considering continuing to be in a relationship with her, I hope you are restricting her access to your child so that she is no longer around them when you aren't around. I don't care how cool your kid thinks she is. When you and your ex make a decision, that is the decision, especially when it comes to health and safety. She doesn't get to overrule you and your ex on parenting ever, just to play the cool new girlfriend. The fact that this whole horrible accident happened where your son has a dislocated shoulder and could have been even more seriously injured, and her response isn't to beg your forgiveness, and that of your ex, but to call you a dick and say she was just trying to do something nice. Wow. I'm just appalled at this. Seriously, don't be surprised when your ex takes you to court. NTA, whether you agree with your decision or not, you do not overstep your boundaries. If the two parents have decided on something for their child, she just needed to keep away. She had no business overriding what you and your ex considered appropriate for your kid. I have seen many children younger than 9 skateboarding, but that is up to the parents. And now she knows why you guys were against your kid skateboarding. Hope your son recovers soon. Stay tuned for more stories from our girl relationships.